Hello and welcome to Searching for Self. My name is Liza, and today I'll be talking about some of the rules in this game we call life. Now, when I started to study spirituality and esoteric teachings, I had a teacher who gave me some useful feedback. And he said, Liza, you need to lighten up and stop fighting against life process. Learn to work with life, not against it. So we talked about the fact that there was a basic blueprint that defined how life was designed to work here. Some basic rules and parameters. And if I accepted those terms and worked within that structure, I could have a better experience and maybe enjoy myself a little more. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. Some basic understanding of life process and why things can be so difficult. Because I found that this information was really helpful, and that's why I wanted to share it. So the first rule here is that humanity is here to learn what life is all about, the how and why things work the way they do. And guess what? Life ain't perfect, and neither is your soul, which I found surprising. So we live here in an imperfect world, and we're trying to understand it with all its imperfections as a soul consciousness. So Earth is often called a school in most spiritual circles, and as a soul consciousness, we come back into a physical body, one life cycle after another, until we learn everything we came here to learn. And here's a fun fact for you. There are approximately 265 life lessons here in this system, which means that there is a reason that a higher consciousness came here to this planet, and it is not to be happy, because the soul's already happy, I'm told, or to be rich, or to lay on a beach all day. We are here to learn, and this is a serious business to the soul. Now, learning often presents itself to us as a challenge, a difficulty, failure, unfairness, confusion, disruption, and it's constant change. Life can be exhausting, frustrating, and certainly not easy. And this is where I had a lot of issues. I was unhappy a lot of time because things didn't typically go the way I wanted them to. There were always problems, and I couldn't understand why things had to be so difficult for me. I often referred to life as crazy town because it made no sense. Now, my teacher shared another fun fact with me. He said that our soul consciousness is pure energy in its natural state. It has no form, and it had never been in a physical form prior to the Earth experience. And it had no idea how physical matter worked. That's why it came here, to understand physical matter. Now, all humans have a soul, and as a soul consciousness, we volunteer to take on a human form to figure out why things are so off-kilter here, and then work together to create improvements for the whole planet to get better. Now, what I found interesting was that much of our frustration is actually stimulated by our higher consciousness's struggle to get things in the physical world to cooperate. It's not as easy as we were expecting. As a soul, we are all very confident, very optimistic, and as a soul, we thought we could come down here and figure things out quickly. But the reality is that this system is a whole lot harder than we thought it would be. But it can also be a very interesting journey if we develop the right attitude and get a better understanding of things. So, life was not meant to be easy. And this was a mental construct that I had to get my head around, because I thought that if I did things the right way, or if I was a good person, then my life would be easy. And so when it wasn't easy, I thought that was just evidence that I was doing something wrong. But that was not the case based on these principles. We actually learn through conflict and struggle and confusion because it forces us to figure things out. It inspires us to find a better way. And this is the process where our experiences can turn into a lived wisdom. It's just part of the design. Another aspect that I needed to wrap my head around was the fact that pain was also part of the learning process. Now, we know pain comes in as a physical emotional, or a mental thing. And it is our number one tool for quick learning. Now, unfortunately, most of us are slow learners, myself included, so no judgment here, because we seem to enjoy wallowing in our pity pots more than we enjoy learning how to hunker down and figure stuff out. So in my case, I decided to stop entertaining myself by complaining how unfair something was or how I was wronged in some way and flip the script. I started to ask myself, did I need this situation to understand something? What was my part in it? Could I have reacted differently? Did the other person have a point? How do I want to handle myself the next time around? So when I changed how I dealt with the problems that came up, I stopped feeling so victimized. By deciding that things were happening for a reason and I just needed to figure it out, I generally felt better. Life wasn't out to get me, but it certainly was sending me experiences to work with. And what I took comfort in was that everybody had to go through the same basic training because we've got these same 260 some life lessons to figure out. So I didn't feel alone in my journey. I also came to understand that pain is actually an important part of life. We use it to motivate ourselves. I've used it as a badge of courage, as a reminder of what not to repeat. We use pain to define us. We value pain, but sometimes we go too far and we make our pain too important or more important than another's pain. But with the right attitude, we can view pain as more of a road sign that signals you're going the wrong way and perhaps pick a new direction. So knowing that our pain and our struggles take us somewhere constructive and that it's part of the teaching system, which is necessary for us to evolve and grow, really helped me to accept this part of the process. Now, I still don't like it, but I understand it. Now, the next principle I want to talk about is that life is experiential, which means you can only learn about life through experience. You can't read about it in a book. It's not about a theory. It's a lived experience, which means we must participate with life. If you do not choose to participate, life will come find you and drop something at your doorstep. We call this a crisis, and that crisis will prompt your participation. So the design of the planet is to teach what life is through experimentation and lived experience. Now, in order to learn, we have to be willing to take some risks and try different things. We have to make lots of different choices, be willing to make mistakes, be willing to fail, and to not be perfect, which can be scary if you don't want to screw anything up. Now, my teacher told me that you got to break some eggs to make an omelet, Liza. And he also said that failure is the spark of success, which was ironic because one of my number one fears was fear of failure. Now, naturally, we're going to get knocked down and feel a little beat up at times by this process. We've all heard the saying that you just need to get up one more time, then life knocks you down. And that is great advice. I highly recommend it. But sometimes, when there's enough trauma, we can decide to just stay down and stop trying. And that is the path I took at a younger age. Some unpleasant things were happening to me at the time, and I decided I wasn't interested in what life had to offer anymore. So I withdrew, and I became very isolated within myself. Now, I still had to go to school and do the bare minimum of interacting, but I mostly just kept to myself. And so by the time I got to high school, life stepped in and started helping me pull my head out of the sand and start dealing with the outer world, which means that I had some unwanted deliveries of steamy, stinky, unpleasant things left on my doorstep, forcing me to re-engage with living. So life knows where you live, and the only way to avoid those unwanted deliveries is to choose the challenges you want to deal with. And we do this by getting a hobby, joining a club, volunteering, taking up bike riding, go hiking, take a class. Just find those things that you're really interested in, and then the challenges won't be so challenging. So when we cooperate with life by making our own choices of who, what, where, when, and why we interact, life will let you figure it out on your own, in your own way. Now, that doesn't mean you won't have challenge, crisis, or change, but at least you get to pick what you're learning about. So the rule is that you're here to learn about how life works, but you get to decide what and how. And as long as you're making choices and moving forward, you'll be fine. But just remember that when things go a little haywire, there's nothing wrong with you and you didn't do anything wrong, especially when we make choices that have unintended results. Do not beat yourself up or think you're stupid, because it's not going to help anything. Look at it as if you were supposed to go through that experience. Learn as much as you can with the situation and take notes so that you don't have to repeat it. Once I understood these basic principles, I gained a new perspective. I realized I wasn't doing anything wrong, and since we're all in the same boat going through the same crazy stuff, I actually found a sense of humor about my mishaps and my strange adventures. And I hope you can too. Thanks for listening, and I hope you'll join me again here on Searching for Self.